Welcome everyone to this week's book review, and I am going to review The Death Cure by James Dashner, the third installment of the Maze Runner series. This book was just released as a film this year, and I guess within the past month or so, and I had no idea actually when I bought this whole series that this was coming out so soon. Anyway, the book was released on October 11th, 2011. It is 324 pages long, making it, I believe, the shortest of the entire series. So, how do I explain this plot, the third installment? So, first of all, there's 5 books. The first 3 books are a trilogy, so this would be the third and the conclusion of the trilogy. The 4th and 5th books are prequel books, but I'll get to those when I review them. Anyway, so this is the conclusion of a trilogy. However, it's not the end of the Maze Runner series as books. It follows the characters starring Thomas, again, right after the end of the previous book called The Scourge Trials. Leading up to this point, all the characters have been deceived over and over again, treated as test subjects, and now it's at the point where Thomas, the main character, has had enough. Although the cause of this experiment is good, to find a cure for a disease that takes over the mind, the methods in which these experiments are run are very cruel to these kids. They're not really kids, they're like teenagers, young adults. And Thomas has finally had enough. And most of this book is about him defying the organization known as Wicked. An organization which he has no memories, but he is now aware that he spent the majority of his life raised by them and in preparation for all these trials. And now they are trying to finally conclude the experiment, and they are requiring him to be cooperative, and that's all I will say. So this book is now less about discovery and more about the action. It's constantly action-packed, constantly, and there's a huge segment, probably the first 1/3 of the book, it's kind of an escape sequence, and kind of kept me going on my toes. But over and over again, we're just constantly seeing the same kind of formula where it's like a lot of action and a little bit of things are revealed. I know you need to mix it up to have a nicely paced book, but like when it's just constant action and it starts to get a little repetitive, that's when I start to get like a little bit annoyed. I was compelled to continue reading through this entire book because I wanted to see where this conclusion was going, and I was like, as I'm reading the book, I'm like, we're running out of time here for something kind of epic to happen. And the way it ends, I don't know how I can say it without spoiling it, but the way it ends is kind of like, I felt like, so nothing. It's one of those where if nothing happened, the end would be the same, almost. However, that doesn't take away from how interesting the first book was. I felt like it was still necessary. And some characters got their chance at redemption. And yeah. I mean, usually I go crazy on elaborating on these things, but I don't know what else to say, really. I did not hate the book. I enjoyed it to some extent, but it was definitely not my favorite. I guess the saving grace, what I will say, the way it ends in this far-fetched these books are kind of set in an unspecified amount of time in the future. My guess is around 200 years in the future, but who knows. Anyway, so what I'm trying to say is, despite this being in an unrealistic scenario, or we don't know, the ending kind of had a realistic outcome. where, you know, we're not always gonna have this crazy like revolution moment like in all these typical trilogies or like whatever. I'm not saying the good guys lose, that's not the case. However, it's not this grandiose ending. It's kind of it is what it needed to be. And for that, I can kind of respect that. I'm glad that James Dashner didn't take this into some far-fetched realm of, like, from 1 minute these kids are experiments to, like, this crazy, all of a sudden they're going to be war soldiers and heroes. I'm glad they didn't go to that extent. So, that's The Death Cure. Have not seen the film yet. It's still in the theaters as of the time that I'm reviewing this book. And I plan to watch that, but I still need to watch the Scorch Trials, and I will do comparisons for each book to each film. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel if you would like to see more of my book reviews. Please like the video if you like the video. And how about recommendations in the comments for books that you'd like me to read, or what's your opinion? This series especially is a very mainstream series, I'd assume, considering these films have been released throughout the past few years, and there's, I believe, still, I'm not sure if they're going to do the prequels. But yeah, let's hear your opinions. Which one of the first three are your favorites? And for those who have seen the movie of Scorch Trials or The Death Cure, let me know how... I'm not gonna be biased. Let me know what you think of them, if you've read the books or if you just think they're good, even if you haven't read the books. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care. See you guys next time.